Work. I'm so glad you're here today for our last session of this school year. We have a consummate educator and presenter, Dr. Pat Gorman, Pat Gorman Barry. And but before we start, I wanted to make sure you know that you're welcome to pop up and refill your plates and your coffee that is donated to us from Starbucks, along with my favorite muffin. We also will have a giveaway of the beautiful bouquets of flowers that you see that are also from our sponsor, Happy Canyon Flowers, off of Happy Canyon and Hampton. Two of our other sponsors, Chile Camps. You may have heard Jeff Chile talk in December when we had Jessica Leahy online, and also Love and Logic, and we had Jim Fay with us in September, and Jim just turned 90. I know, and he's writing his memoirs, which is really exciting. Put your plates down for a minute and stand up, stretch your legs. You might have just sat down, or you might have been sitting for 15 minutes. So, how many of you came because you saw this in your kids' newsletter at school? Wow, that's it. How many of you came because you've been coming to Penn and you know that you need to be here every first Tuesday? Woohoo! Wow, that's so cool. Great. How many of you came another way because somebody invited you and said you have to come? Yay! Awesome. Thank you for being the person who invited them, and thank you for accepting the invitation. How many of you came another way? How? Email, of course. How many of you have gotten the emails? How many of you are on the email list? Awesome. You came another way because? Pin rep. Yep, there are still some pin reps at schools that kind of get the word around for us. All righty, how many of you have kids with decision-making, problem-solving issues? Anybody? Oh, come on. If you have a kid, they got an issue. And actually, if you're an adult, there are times when we all have issues too, right? Good versus good. How do I figure that out? How many of you have kids who are seniors in high school? So glad you're here. They're going to have a whole set of new situations and issues to deal with. How many of you have kids out of the house? Or maybe they boomeranged back? Okay. How many of you have kids from 9th to 11th grade? A lot of high schoolers. Awesome. This is the time to fortify them. Middle school, our favorite. Great. The happy years, the honeymoon years, elementary school. All right. And how about little ones that you can still pick up and put them in a car seat? No little ones? Okay. Great. How many of you are grandparenting? Fabulous. Congratulations for helping the next generation. All right, have a seat. Continue eating. And you're not allowed to leave here without taking at least 2 bagels with you on the way out. We have a plethora donated to us from my favorite muffin and also Einstein's. So please, bring anything that you see in the back, take something with you for your kids for their snack this afternoon, and then you can tell them all the great things you've learned about their brain. You will see on your tables there's these orange little pieces of paper. If you can write down an idea of either a topic or a speaker and put it in here with your name, we will have a drawing for one or two of the beautiful flower arrangements out of those people who give us some ideas. I'm in the midst of creating our schedule of speakers for next year, and I'd like to bring in whatever you feel is something that you're lacking, you'd like more information on, or an issue that's really plaguing you or seems to come up often. So if you want to do that now, we will be coming around with a red bucket. Or a little basket. Oh, how about, yeah, one of these. Yeah. How about, I'll go out. Make sure you write your name on it. Speaker, and not a speaker like Brene Brown, who cost $25,000 for like 10 minutes. Don't give me that. Give me something, unless you're giving me a grant to go with it. That I will take. Also, if you happen to have a business and you would like to be a sponsor, along with our other great sponsors over here, sponsorships start at $750 and go to $1,500. And so we're happy to talk to you about that opportunity. We're also looking for PIN board members. There are, if you're a PIN board member, if you're not a PIN board member, I want you to look around. If you're a PIN board member, raise your hand. Look behind you. We've got 2 up here, and we've got everyone else in the back. So PIN board members are just a super fun group of people who are proactive parents. We still all have issues that our kids are dealing with, so it's not like we got perfect families and children situations. But we do seek out to support each other and to support all of you. So if this sounds like something that would be exciting for you, the time commitment is 2 hours for a meeting once a month, and your presentation time here. So come talk to one of us with the name tag. All right. If any of you snuck in without getting your pencils and your handouts and your index cards, then go to the check-in table and grab those. We got a lot of goodies for you. I'm glad you're fortified with all this yummy food brought to you by some of our business folks and our PIN board members. I want to introduce to you today Dr. Pat. Back in the day, she and one of our founders, Sherry Shepard Sargent, whose husband Frank was a Rotarian. Sherry was a Rotarian too? I'm going to let Pat give you the story so I don't mangle it up. But Dr. Frank and Sherry are the people who started PIN. And Sherry died about 8 years ago, and Frank stayed on with our board for a few years after that. And he was coming today, but he had an emergency situation come up. So this is really super powerful stuff that you're going to learn today, and you can put it into action immediately. How many of you know much about the brain? Not like as a brain scientist, but as a mom who can kind of explain how the brain works to kids. You are going to learn that today, and it's going to be like an aha moment for you. So I just gave this book out to a friend of mine who was visiting, who was telling me about her daughter who had made it through, and then in 9th and 10th grade started falling apart. And in 11th grade had a crisis. And she said, Susu, she just doesn't have any executive functioning skills. She can't make decisions. She makes choices that are not in her best interest. I said, wait right there. I got the perfect book for you. And I ran upstairs and I got this book for her because I had bought it last time Pat was here. Really great stuff. So, with no further ado, I'm going to let Pat take it away. No.
Okay. Good morning. Well, can you hear me? Is this working? Okay. All right. Okay. Let me introduce my co-facilitators. Deborah Flick, right here, is in Rotary Club with me, and she is a wellness coach and an entrepreneur. She's also Eileen McGowan is also a Rotarian with Denver Mile High Rotary, and she just moved to Denver to be with her grandkids and children, her son and daughter, and she is retired as a director of the Graduate School of Education, Harvard. So she's from Boston. And then Terry Tomsick is an attorney and a retired judge and county court magistrate. So we're pretty, I just unplugged my computer. We're a pretty well-educated group, and we are delighted to be able to help you because this is not about being smart. This is about learning how to stop and think and how to teach your kids to stop and think. And I focused on the younger kids today, but it's K through 12 program, and it's also for adults. And the examples are for children, and the brains that you have are for children, but we have also versions that are age appropriate. So our agenda. Well, I don't know how to turn my. I didn't. Okay, great. Well, that was easy. Okay, the agenda. I'll do an overview, and of course, we've lost a lot of time, so I'm just going to be skipping some things. We'll do a small group exercise with reinforcement, and then we'll do a Q&A. So what is BrainWise? BrainWise is an evidence-based program, teaches about the brain and executive function skills that we call the 10 wise ways to stop and think. Here's more background information about BrainWise. Where has it been taught? BrainWise has been taught in schools, nonprofit organizations, homeless shelters, reservations, Indian reservations, churches, youth groups, and households throughout the United States and Canada. It has been taught in China, India, and 17 other countries. The program can be taught one-on-one. It can be taught in classrooms, in groups, and in groups. We are exploring AI and are excited for an opportunity to integrate BrainWise into thinking skills taught by a chatbot. It is important that thinking skills be part of the process of using AI. BrainWise is taught as an elective course in Cherry Creek. This explains why pen may be the only place you hear about the program. There are teachers throughout the system who are champions for the program. Okay, we start Brainwise by teaching everyone has problems. It's important for all of us to recognize that and help the children recognize that they are not alone. In this lesson, they identify not only problems they have, but problems of famous people, the problems of cartoon characters, problems of pets, problems of parents, and problems of others around them. Everybody has problems. So let's do an activity. Usually we break up and go into groups, but we'll just have you call it out now. Please think about the problems children face. And these are like under 10. We can throw in some teenagers and middle schoolers in here too. Please raise your hand and we will write them on flip chart sheets. Okay. A phone. Need a phone. Oh, if they don't have a phone, that's a problem. Okay. All right. Friends and drama. Issues with your drama with your friends. Yeah. Yes. Time management. Somebody want to help her? You want to go? You're good? Okay. Are these the only problems we have? Okay. Self-centered. Yeah. Yes. Perfectionism. Too much phone, too much. Too many what missing? Oh, too many apps. Okay. Overwhelmed with apps. Yeah, TikTok. Self-sufficiency. Anxiety. Fear of missing out. Thank you. Game and social media control. Truthfulness. Yes. Emotional regulation. Pressure of doing too much. Yes. Boredom. Organization. Indecision. It's a good. Right. What was that? Executive function. The lack of that. Yes. Peer pressure. Health problems. Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other? You know, when I've asked this question of teenagers in inner city schools, the top one is death, suicide, safety. It's not, yes. Self-image, body image. Okay, so with problems, thank you. What we do with the little ones is we have them put their problems in bags, and if your big problems go in the big bag, the medium-sized problem, the medium bag, and the small problems, the small bag. And that helps them see that even though classmates, they've written all their problems and they know what they are, and certainly the kindergartners, they're more innocent. But it's when I get budged in line, when someone won't play with me, you know, they've got some serious problems. But they learned that what's a big problem for them is not a big problem for somebody else. And also that problem sizes change, so that what can be a small problem can become a big problem, or medium problem can change from big to small. So problems are important. Recognizing that you are not alone with your problems is important. And that was one of the key things we have. And I think it would be interesting for you to ask your kids for them to list what they think their problems are. And then have them ask, what do you think your parents' problems are? And what do you think, well, think of who else in their circle of people. What problems do they have? Including asking them, what problems do you think your pet has? All right. Okay, so you have a brain worksheet. You have two worksheets. One should be a brain, and the other should be a lizard brain worksheet. Okay. Whoa. I went over the video. Okay, now I'll do it.
Brain research has found that thinking skills must be learned. We are not born with them. This was the aha moment for Dr. Berry and helped her understand why patients who wanted to be healthy did not take their medications, follow up on immunizations, or keep clinic appointments. They had not been taught what are called executive function skills, the process used to stop, think, and analyze a problem situation before reacting. How do we learn? Dr. Eric Kandel won the Nobel Prize for showing how the brain forms connections when it learns something new. This discovery gave Dr. Berry a teaching tool she used to explain complex medical issues for her patients. She applied these skills to teach them about the brain and show them how learning thinking skills help build brain connections to prevent and solve problems. They learned that the 5 senses, touch, sight, hearing, smell, and taste, send signals to the thalamus, the relay center in the middle of the brain. Brainwise students use models like this to understand the brain. They color the relay center blue. Underneath and attached to the relay center is the limbic system, containing 2 important survival instincts: the hypothalamus, which contains the fight or flight reaction, and the amygdala, which is the source of our emotions. They color it red. Our strongest emotion is fear, and our brain reacts to it. It triggers our impulses. We're born with our bodies hardwired to react on fear and impulse. Because reptiles also have this instinct, we call this area the lizard brain. They learn that the helpful lizard brain pulls our hand off a hot pot, flees from lightning, and spits out a bug that flies into our mouth. The harmful lizard brain causes problems because scientists found our brains react to any over-the-top emotions impulsively and without thinking. This can range from being so excited that we don't look where we are going to becoming enraged over a perceived slight. This worksheet helps children understand.
What I wanted to do is have you take out your sheets and start filling them in and use that.
Brain research.
And use that picture of the brain. How do I get back to there? Can I get to that slide? To that part of it? Yeah, that's what I do on the bottom. It's usually right here. Hey, Rob. Oh, great. Everything's right there. Well, then I'm going to go to the end of the slide.
Or to the next slide?
No. Can I want to get to this right here on the slide.
But it's not showing out. Like the timeline. Oh, the timeline. I don't see it. Can I see it? What if you go to the next? What happens? It's slide 7.
No, slide 8. No, it starts all over. I want to go to the...
Brain research has found that
It's not showing on it. So we're at 7.
Never mind. I know.
Yeah, what she's saying
So
is
it paused, but it started back to the beginning.
Yeah. It's too late. Okay. On your brains, on your brains, mark them in. Mark the blue area, relay center. Underneath that, where it's red, that's the lizard brain. And if you remember in the video, our 5 senses send signals to the relay center. So what are the 5 senses? Sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing. Okay, they all go right there. So underneath that is the lizard brain, and that reacts, the fight or flight reaction. That's where our survival instincts are. That's where our emotions are, and the strongest emotion we have is fear. So our bodies are hardwired so that when we have a problem, everything kicks in right away. And it's all right there. Our thinking brain, though, is in green. So color that green. That is the prefrontal cortex. And we call it the wise or wizard brain because that's where thinking takes place. We are not born with any connection to the thinking brain. It has to be learned. And that was only found out, 30 years ago. And Eric Kandel's the one who got a Nobel Prize for showing us how we form connections when we learn new material. And he got that Nobel Prize in 2001. So this information on the brain has not been around. And that's why a lot of us don't even know it. So you have to learn thinking skills to be able to stop and think. And once I found out about that, once I learned about that, it became my mission to teach skills to do that, because I had too many clients and students who made impulsive, emotional decisions and didn't know why they did that. So there it is. So every time we teach a thinking skill, and the first one is use your wizard brain over your lizard brain, draw a brain connection from the blue to the green, or from the relay center to the wizard brains to show that you are building a connection. Okay. Thanks. So, also on the video that we've missed. Also, one of the teaching tools we use is the hand brain. And a lot of people have used the hand brain for different things, but the BrainWise hand brain is, can you hold this? Yeah. This is stop, and the top of the fingers are the prefrontal cortex, or the green. The relay center is underneath your fingers, that's the blue, and the thumb is the lizard brain. So when you learn the thinking skills, you learn how to stop and think. And so we use this hand gesture as a way, very silently, of reminding the kids, hey, and they get it. The other hand gesture use, thank you, Vanna, are brain bumps instead of high fives. Brain bumps. These are your thinking skills. So we just give them a high five and we do a brain bump. Okay. And this is a picture showing a Denver teenager, teaching a 4th grader in a public school how to stop and think. And look at how that little one is just engrossed with the teen teaching her that. Okay, here's the brain bumps. And right. So on your brain, you've drawn the line. Now, on your index card, write wizard brain over lizard brain on the index card. We're going to make cards of each of the wise ways. So wizard brain over lizard brain. Oh, why we're making the cards?
Why wizard brain over the lizard brain?
Oh, use your wizard brain before you use, so you don't use your lizard brain, usurp it. But the video was going to go through this. Your other sheet is the lizard brain, harmful lizard brain, helpful lizard brain. The helpful lizard brain is what? Your fight or flight reaction. What does that lizard brain do? Survival. So you take your hand off the hot pot, you jump out of the way of a car, you spit out something that tastes bad. It is you react without thinking. You just react emotionally or react physically immediately. Okay, that's the helpful lizard brain. The harmful lizard brain is getting mad, pushing somebody, road rage. It's just reacting on your emotions without thinking. That is the harmful lizard brain. And that's the lizard brain we're going to be working on. That's what we're teaching the kids to do. Use your wizard brain over your lizard brain. Your helpful lizard brain will always kick in and precede anything. But the harmful lizard brain needs you to stop and think. So one of the second wise way we teach is to build a constellation of support. And that is, who do you go to for help? Who are the people who help you solve problems and help the kids distinguish the helpful people from the people who make the problem worse? So a double line, they draw, they're in the center of the constellation, and around them are stars, and some of the stars are people who are very helpful and help them solve problems, and some are people, like maybe their friends, who cause problems and make it worse. We don't tell them that. They have to figure that out themselves. And then a single line is just somebody who is there who's neither helpful nor harmful. So make another brain connection for constellation of support, and write constellation of support on the back of your wizard brain card. Okay, wise way number 3 is recognize red flag warnings. What are the signs? Those of us with thinking skills, we recognize when a problem is going to happen because we know when we feel a certain way inside that means something's going to happen, so we're on alert. So we teach them about that. What are your inside feelings? And they go, well, I feel mad. Well, what does mad feel like? And we get them to realize my heart beats fast, I feel hot, my muscles get tight. Everybody has their own internal signals that warn them that something's going to happen. And we'll make the child aware of what those are and have them identify them. They also learn to recognize outside or external red flags. And those are the red face, the mean look, the clenched fist, the shouting. So there's the internal and external red flags. And having them be aware of that helps them stop and think. They get a red flag buddy that they can draw on, and on that little body, they write on their own body, they draw themselves on it and say what happens when they have a problem. And they have all kinds of red flag buddies. They have ones for when they're happy and ones for when they're not. But it makes them recognize where on their body they are getting sensations that there's a problem. So draw another line on your brain, and on another card write red flag. Okay. Wise way number 4 is exit the emotions elevator. We teach that emotions are like a 10-story elevator, and the higher you get up on the elevator, the more you're going to be using your lizard brain. Okay. Now there are other the emotions, a thermometer. There's different metaphors, but we've been using the emotions elevator, and it's worked great because it helps the children recognize that there are different degrees of emotion, and also it's very visual for them to see. I was going to say, also we have the kids make their little red flags, and they put outside red flags on one side and inside on the other. And this is really a helpful teaching tool. Even the older kids like making a red flag, and they've done some elaborate ones. Okay, I'm going to show you an emotions elevator for anger. And here are the words that these were teenagers identified. So what emotion would you put on the first floor? Calm, upset, annoyed, frustrated, irritated, mad, angry, furious, rage, explosive. Okay. So it shows them how gradations go up, and sometimes you can go up really fast and sometimes it's slow, but it makes them aware that this is what's happening. So okay, what happens? How do you get off that emotions elevator when you are going up it? Well, this is how you exit your emotions elevator, and you will be familiar with these kinds of techniques. You use control self-talk. With the little ones, we say, use yakety yak, self-talk back. Talk to yourself in your head. Tell yourself to calm down. I'm going to get in trouble if I do this. Redirect your emotions. Do something else. Take deep breaths. For each breath you take, you go down one floor on the elevator. With the kindergartners, they are so cute because they take these big breaths and they melt down till they go down till they melt in the floor. It's darling. Okay, you use your hand brain to squeeze. That will help you, remind you, okay, stop and think. And use relaxation techniques, which, the deep breathing, the meditation. All right, build another brain connection and create another card that says emotions elevator. Okay. There are 6 more wise ways. I'm going to go through these quickly because we don't have time. But when we teach these in class, each one is a lesson, and the once they learn the word, then you can start reinforcing it. So it really becomes ingrained in them. So wise way number 5 is separate fact from opinion. Fact is what you know is true, and opinion is what you think is true. And certainly in this day and age, fact versus opinion is a very important lesson. And I'm not spending much time on it, but that is one of the key thinking skills, and it takes your other thinking skills to be able to do that. You have to be low on your emotions elevator to separate fact from opinion. You have to use your constellation of support. You have to recognize the red flag warnings. So all of these build on each other, and you use all of the skills to be able to process the higher thinking skills. Build another brain connection. Draw a line. That for the fact versus opinion is line number 5. On your index card, write fact versus opinion. We're going to be using these cards, so make sure you've got them. I don't know. There's more cards. There's more cards on the table. Oh, what I did, you use both sides of the card. But there are more cards, so, okay. Wise way number 6, ask questions. This is really another important lesson to learn. And there's activities that help the students learn how to do this. And I'm not going to go through those, so we're just going to do ask questions, build another brain connection, and write on your index card, ask questions. Number 7 is identify your choices. This is another higher level thinking skill. It requires all of your other wise ways to use. People who use their lizard brain don't think they have any choices because they just react. And learning how to identify your choices really takes time to stop and think. And also they learn not making a choice is a choice. So identify choices. Because then, and draw another line on your brain, right? Make another card that says identify choices. And we will go to Wise Way 8, which are, once you've identified your choices, what are the consequences of those choices? For every choice, there's a consequence. There's a consequence now, there's a consequence later, and there's a consequence affecting others. So they learn about that so that when you make a choice, you think about who will that affect, what will happen now, what will happen later, and what will happen to somebody else. Make a line and write that on a card. Oops. Wise Way number 9, set goals and plans for action. We know how important goal setting is, and how many times do we tell kids to set goals, and they don't have any of the other skills to do it, so they don't set goals. So it's important. So that's why it's a higher level thinking skill. You have to be able to process the activities before you can set your goals. Write those down. Make another brain connection. And the last wise way really requires all 9 thinking skills, and that's communicate effectively. Communicate effectively, we teach about nonverbal behavior. We teach about taking other people's points of view. We teach about passive-aggressive and passive-aggressive behaviors and communication. We teach about I messages. These are very important lessons and take a lot of practice. So draw another brain connection on your brain and write on your index card, communicate effectively. Okay, so those are the 10 wise ways. And here's a picture of a brain with showing all 10 wise ways, and your brains should look like that. And you've got the connections. Now, kids probably have some of these connections, but they don't have all of them, and they've never put them all together as a process that's involved in thinking. They've just, learned behaviors like we all did. But now they're in a format that makes it very clear that they're related to helping you stop and think. I started teaching this program to teenagers who were at very high risk, and they said, I should have learned this when I was in elementary school. So we teach it K through 12. But when we've done outcomes besides the measuring of executive functions, which has been found to increase executive functions in those who've taken the course, the teenagers drew pictures. And these pictures were drawn at the end of the course. They were asked to draw a picture of how you saw yourself before you took this class and how do you see yourself now. And so this young person said, before I was upset, didn't know what to do with my life, I was depressed, call 911. After, I learned how to lower my elevator, I separated fact from opinion, I gather information, I feel good about myself, I know how to handle my problems. Here's another before. He's half a person, and now he's got a whole face and a body. Kids are really amazing with their metaphors. Here's one. Before, I was sad, laid blame, frustrated, and after, I'm content. It has helped me realize what I can do with all my negative emotions. I hate you, I will kick your butt. I'm mad, angry, stressed, and mean. And "Hi, friend, how are you?" I mean, this is really remarkable. And these are the kids depict this. They say, this is what happened. I'm happy, and I have more choices. Probably one of those who just, reacted and didn't know why he was having so many problems. This girl said, "I don't get it. Why do other people get so much when I get so little? I feel that nothing is fair." After, "Wow, I have so much more than some people. I feel like my attitude is gone. It helped me see how other people see me. Before, I feel confident. After, I feel confident and brave." Before, this sucks. When asked why his eyes were blacked out, he said, "I was blind to my problems." And afterwards, he said, "I could see, and life is great." This was a Denver teen. How the class helped her a lot in that it saved her life, and how she'd been suicidal. But the Brainwise class and my friends helped me see the consequences and how it would affect her and other people, and to consider all the reasons for killing myself. And we did a drill on it. If I had felt this way sometime last year, then I probably would have done something drastic. I'm very glad that I took this class, because I noticed that I have a better temper. The Brainwise tool I use the most is to stop and think. I like this tool the most because I stop and think about the consequences, all the reasons, other people's view, and other choices, and it's working. And this one was a young man in China, and he said, he wrote in English, but he also has Chinese in there. "Before, I was unprotected with arrows, and now the arrows are still coming, but I have tools to deal with them. I'm in armor." So here are the 10 wise ways, and that was a quick and dirty. And we are going to now do an activity that uses them. And so I'm going to leave this slide up while we do this activity. Okay. And what we need to do is divide you into 3 groups. So, Susu, how many people do we have, and how large should our groups be? 45? 15 people? Okay. Okay, get them in rows. Get them in 3 groups.
Do we need to have one writer, like can people be standing?
Oh, we don't need a writer. We just need you in a group, and then you're going to be doing a story. And Eileen will do the story with the what was it called? What's your story? Dr. DeSoto. Okay. Terry's going to do not Terry. Deborah's going to do the Giving Tree, and I'm going to do Taylor Swift. Bring your index cards. Bring your index cards. This is where you're going to use your index cards. And
You look like you needed water.
oh, thank you. No.
In the back, where those chairs are, all against the wall.
I always dry up when I'm giving a speech, and I
the
forget.
Taylor Swift one.
I knew you.
Yeah. No, go to the one. Go to the one. Go join Eileen. I think she'll be interesting. How much time do we have? Terry, how much time do we have?
Well, it's now 10. We're off by about half hour all the way around, so it's 10:20 right now.
Okay, we've got 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
Okay, and are you leader number 3?
No, Deborah is. I'm leader. I'm lead. Oh, I'm Taylor Swift. I'm Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's our problem. Actually, this is what an activity we do with teens and adults. So she's a pretty amazing young lady.
Okay. We'll turn this off so it doesn't. Sorry. No, that's fine.
I see. Let's wrap up and come back together and report out. What? Eileen gets 2 minutes. Okay, let's reconvene and just do a quick wrap up. And Deborah, do you have somebody from your group who can report out? Pick somebody? Yeah, I will. Okay. All right. Eileen, do you have somebody who will report out? Okay, let's go. Let's get back. We're going to report out really quickly, summarize what the groups talked about. We have a PIN presenter, Nicole. Okay, tell the group what you guys talked about.
Okay, well, we kind of split up amongst us and talked about several things, but it sounds like there was a lot of empathy, I think, a little bit for the fox. A couple of our people had kind of taken more of the viewpoint of the fox and what he was experiencing, but overarching, I would say a big takeaway was the coordination, the constellation of support between both oh, you know what? I didn't even tell you what we were talking about. Okay, we covered a children's book about a dentist and his wife, and they're both mice. And the problem was that they had clients who could eat them. So a fox came into these two dentists, and he needed his tooth removed, but they had a problem because they were afraid that the fox was going to eat them. So Eileen read us this wonderful story, and then we broke out, and part of what we had talked about was that the two dentists, they were a husband-wife team, did a great job using each other to come up with a solution. How can they help the fox with his tooth and also stay alive? So we talked a little bit about some great points about red flags that the fox was showing that triggered them to come up with some consequences, and they did some goal setting together. So they recognized red flags. They communicated effectively between the two of them. And we found a lot of value in seeing the fox on his emotional elevator and him displaying lizard versus wizard brain. But we had a lovely time with a great story.
Thank you. Thank you. Deborah? Bobby? Thank you. Are you going to talk for us?
Hi, so our group discussed The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. How many people have read this story? Maybe to their own children. So The Giving Tree, on the surface, sounds like a very beautiful story of the child-parent relationship and the bittersweet journey of parenting a child. But our discussion revealed that there were several of these steps that were missing from the conversation, which of course which ranged from when the child was just very small to when the child was an adult. And in the story, the child plays with the tree, has a great relationship, but then grows older, takes the apples, then, excuse me, then takes the branches from the tree, and then finally the tree gets cut down, and the child approaches the tree over the course of his life and just takes and takes and takes. So we agreed that this child was exhibiting narcissistic tendencies over his life and that it was kind of tragic. So what the child was missing initially was constellation of support. The tree was the only source of getting the things that he needed. The child also did not identify choices very well. It seemed like, I mean, this is, simplifying a children's book, but there should have been more choices than to take and take and take from the tree. There were red flag warnings, when the child wanted to take the branches of the tree. A tree cannot survive without its branches, and so that should have been a red flag. There should have been questions that were asked, are there other ways to get the things that you want? How is this affecting the relationship between the child and the tree? And there were consequences that were never discussed. If you have a relationship where someone is doing unconditional love and giving at the expense to their own survival, that's probably not a healthy relationship. So lots of applicability to that storybook. So thanks.
Thank you. Okay, all you have to do is just kind of summarize what we did. You're teachers. And you'll get a book. All right, okay. All right. Yeah, Sheila, thank you. All right.
So the reference that we used to discuss this was the episode with Taylor Swift, where she had her backside touched by a disc jockey when they were doing the PR interviewing. And what we decided was that she was probably receiving physiological red flag warnings when she essentially froze, because she was, as she said later, I couldn't think about what I was doing and think about that at the same time. I didn't know what to think of it. And then afterwards, so she really, in some respects, she controlled her emotions, but in other respects, she was just another young woman who was inappropriately touched and froze. So she immediately found her constellation of support. She had quite a bit of that. And in fact, her security team kicked the disc jockey out of the concert area, and he subsequently lost his job. But some of these things, don't die all the time, and so later on, in a way, she was forced into pursuing this legally because he sued her for defamation of character and various other things and losing his job. So she had to come back and defend herself, and of course that raised a lot of physiological reactions to her, and we all agreed that because of her position and power that she won that case, because it was really a he said, she said sort of thing. And the support of her constellation of support, who immediately saw how upset she was immediately after the incident. And anything else, team? Is that about complete everything? Okay. Yes, please do.
When she did get groped initially, we talked about the emotions, her her inner versus, her reaction. So, and those were the choices that she made of not to, create a scene at that moment. There was also when this thing was later taken to court and they had to separate fact from fiction or from opinion, you mentioned that. And then the consequences of what he had done. So we also talked about communicating effectively, which is, this thing was taken to court. Identifying the choices she made at that time, setting goals, and our form of action was during the time when this thing was taken to court. So we basically covered everything, I think. Is there anything we're missing? No. Yes.
Somebody who was in our group who left was very familiar with more familiar with Taylor Swift than we were. Taylor Swift wrote a song about the whole, clean, that really addresses her feelings and the incident that had happened. And, here you go. She chose to make it public because she realized that if she, who has fame and support, is a victim, and she was not, she did not know she was going to be believed. There was nobody saw it happen. She was the only one who knew it happened. That she had to make a stand for other women, and I really admire that she did that. So I want to thank the group, all of you today. Thank you so much. We appreciate your hard work as parents, and PIN is a great organization, and I thank Frank and Sherry Sargent for introducing me to it and for being involved. And we have a website, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Take care. Oh, website, www.brainwise, BRAINWISE-PLC.org. PLC, P as in Paul, L as in like, C as in cherry. Right.
Thank you, Pat. I'd like us to and her Eileen and Deborah. Thank you for being here and for supporting our groups. And Deborah, who's somewhere else, and Dawn in the back. Deborah. I was thinking of the other gal. If anybody has any more ideas, now's your chance. Bring them up. Yes.
When you come out for the book with parents to do this with their kiddos at home, let us know.
It was hard putting it together because so many parents don't have the materials for the activities, like making the red flags or the some of those materials. So I was trying to make a kit that goes with it, but that is getting so complicated. So I think I'm just going to do some simple activities, and but the book's written. So I will certainly let PIN know so we can share that with you. And the draft of it is on the table, so you're welcome to look back there. It's the blue one, the blue one that's up and above. Dawn, can you hold it up? Thank you.
Another van of white.
He's a cutie. All right, thank you.
Pat will be in the back signing books if you would like. We would like to give you one of the set of flowers as a thank you for your generous use of your time and talent for all of us here at PIN. The next person I'd like to give one to, does anybody have a birthday